Your teacher said you got into an argument and you bit another kid. Orson, look at me. You bit someone. That's not okay, ever. Do you understand me? When you hurt people, it hurts you in your heart. And it hurts my heart too. You don't want to hurt me, do you?
Astrid, I think that's enough.
I know that was hard to hear. But that ugliness, that's how your grandma behaved. I don't think we need any more angry, mean old ladies in the world. We need more good little boys. More Orsons. Okay?
Okay.
I can make us some tea. The water's still hot.
No, Papa.
You did a hard thing up there, talking things out with Orson. But I think you'll be a better person for it.
I don't want to hear your review of my parenting skills.
All right. Then what do you want to talk about?
The syringe. The one I found in Mama's room.
There's nothing more to say.
I ran a test on it, Papa. It was filled with morphine. Is that what you were giving Mama? Is that what killed her?
Why do you bring this up again? Why can't you let it go?
I already told you her death wasn't my fault. I did everything for your mother.
Because you were scared of her.
Father, you don't know anything. You don't know what it was like, what she could do, what...
Are you fucking serious? I know exactly what it was like. Every day in this house was torture. And you, Papa, you didn't do a goddamn thing about it.
Father. God, Where are you going?
To get Orson. You're not fit to be around him.
Leave the boy, Astrid. You don't know what you're saying.
I thought all of this shit was finally gone with Mama. I was wrong.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
I've heard a lifetime of empty apologies. I don't need another.
Astrid, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Please. Make it stop.
I can lock up. See you back at the house? I could cook and...
We need to go back.
What?
Let's go, Faith. Grab your stuff.
Wait, Rach. Talk to me.
Mommy?
Faith, honey, can you go check on the machines over there? Go see if anyone left anything behind.
You trusted me enough to tell me what really happened to Joy, and you can trust me now. So tell me, what's going on? Hey, look at me. Rach, you can talk to me.
I can't.
Rach, come on. It's me. I'm not gonna tell anybody anything.
You're asking me to break my oath.
I just want to help.
I said no.
You're right. I'm sorry.
What is this place? I have to find a way out. What is this place? You got this. What is that?
Hello, welcome to the Silent Hill Ascension post-show. I'm Noah, and I'm so glad to introduce Stefan Bugay, who is here with us. He's the Chief Creative Officer of Genvid. Stefan, how do you do?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Noah.
Great. So we're so glad to have you here. I have some questions for you. So first of all, what excites you the most about what you've worked on so far on Ascension?
I mean, I'm excited the most about rolling out a new entertainment format that's never been done before. The idea of the socially interactive streaming service and taking ideas that I'd worked on previously at places like Telltale with narrative decision making and bringing it to a format where the entire audience makes the decisions collectively and then creates canon, and then that gets cut into a TV show, and you, the audience, are shaping the canon of this story that is part of this great, awesome Silent Hill franchise. Like, being able to sort of bring together my interests in interactive narrative, social engagement, and great storytelling with an awesome franchise like Silent Hill has been very, very exciting.
Dude, it's so great to be working on a franchise like Silent Hill. It really is like a perfect combination of like working on the series and working with Konami. So can you also, let's like go back a sec. Can you like introduce your role in Genvin?
Sure, I'm the Chief Creative Officer, so I am responsible for all of the creative development of our projects. So the writing, the narrative design, the game design, art, cinematics, animation, etc. So that is what I do.
Yeah, so you are kind of the puppeteer, and we are, you know, you're one of the chief puppeteers here.
Yes, a puppet master.
If you will. And speaking about puppet masters, what's your favorite Silent Hill Ascension monster? If production, sorry. Stefan, can you tell us what's your favorite monster on Ascension?
My favorite monster is the Collector. The Collector is quite mysterious. We will learn a little more about the Collector as we go through our Silent Hill Ascension season, but there's some pretty cool deep lore behind the Collector as well that you know, the audience can sort of talk about and conjecture about and perhaps find more out about later. But I think the Collector is a super cool creature.
It looks really cool and mysterious, you know. It reminds me of some people of my past, but
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, let's carry on. So who's your favorite character in Ascension? I know it's kind of like difficult to answer because it's like you're a parent and they're all your children, but who are you leaning towards at this point?
So it is very difficult to choose since you know, as the creator, they are all my babies. But I would say that right now, with everything that's going on, I am very intrigued by Rachel. You know, in past Silent Hill stories, we've sort of seen the aftermaths of cult activity. We've had cult members as opponents, but this is an opportunity to sort of get inside the still functioning workings of the cult through Rachel, and influence her journey as someone who is a true believer and deciding what she should and should not believe within this worldview that she's developed, because she has these beliefs and perhaps they are challenged and at the same time reinforced by the things that she's seeing happening in the world around her. And I think that's a really cool opportunity for interacting with a character story.
Right. Rachel is a fascinating character. I can't wait to see more and more what's behind those piercing eyes. Yeah, and what did you think that the audiences will most resonate within the story?
I mean, so we created a story that is intended to resonate with a lot of different people in different ways. We're doing something new in the Silent Hill universe by having multiple protagonists in 2 locations at the same time in the same story, each of whom has their own peculiarities, their own dark pasts, their own reactions to what's happening to them now. And so, you know, we've got a variety of different characters that I think different people can relate to and or be critical of and or be terrified or disgusted by, and that's deliberate. Like, we wanted to have a lot of variety because we are a worldwide social experience, and so the idea was to have more for more people, because we've got people engaged all around the world, right? Like, the Silent Hill core titles, by being on console and high-end PC, have one audience, but the Ascension experience being accessible through mobile and PC browser, there's people in South America and parts of Asia and Africa that maybe have never experienced any Silent Hill title before. And so we were trying to create a cast of characters that had enough different universal ideas behind them that general horror audiences, and not just core Silent Hill audiences all around the world, could get interested in our characters.
Right. It really is so cool to have like two stories, and it begs the question, what brings them together, right? Like later on, I feel like we will discover more and more. And by the way, like speaking of horror, what horror inspirations are important to you?
To me personally, well, I mean, because I don't want to speak on behalf of the entire Silent Hill franchise and all of the other developers, but to me personally, a lot of my horror inspirations start with like really classic German expressionist horror, and then I am very much a child of 80s horror with the works of people like Wes Craven and John Carpenter, and Don Coscarelli, people like that. But there's also a lot of really interesting sort of atmospheric and heady horror, particularly being done now, that I think is really interesting. So I look to a variety of different kinds of horror for inspiration, but my heritage is that like 80s Carpenter, Coscarelli, Craven, that kind of stuff.
Right, and that's I can't even. I guess everybody saw my face light up when you brought those names. So clearly, you know my opinion. But speaking of horror inspiration, because the soundtrack of Silent Hill Ascension is really beautifully done by Kevin Key from very known for Skinny Puppy, and it was your call, Stefan, to bring him on, right? So please tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been a Skinny Puppy fan since I was a preteen, and so I've always been a big fan of Kevin's work, Skinny Puppy, Download, his solo work, Tear Garden, etc. And it turned out that Yamaoka-san was also inspired by Skinny Puppy, among other things, in creating the original Silent Hill scores. And so it seemed like a great opportunity to work with someone I'd always dreamed about working with, that was relevant to the franchise, but at the same time was going to do something that was new and different and unique to the Ascension experience, which is what Konami wanted.
Right. I think it's such a beautiful marriage of all the dreams come true of like, what do you want to work on? Like, oh, I want it to be like a Silent Hill with a Skinny Puppy. And anyway, but so if there's one thing that you could share with the community at this point, what would it be?
If there was one thing I could share with the community at this point, it would be my excitement for them to continue to go down the rabbit hole with these characters and with some other characters that may or may not appear later in the story, because the team put a lot of hard work into crafting a pretty interesting, deep, thematic Silent Hill story that both draws on all of the pillars of the best past Silent Hill experiences that we, worked closely with Konami to identify, but also expands the lore of the franchise in interesting ways. We also worked with Konami on that. And there's a lot of fun stuff for people who love Silent Hill, but also who just love horror and cult stories and psychological horror in general to dig their teeth into as we get further and further into the season, both in terms of these character arcs and character conflicts, but also what exactly is going on? Why are these multiple characters in these two locations in the same story at the same time? Who exactly is the collector? And things like that I think people will find pretty fascinating if they continue to come back every day and impact these decisions. And if you do, you are changing the fates of these characters. Like when you participate in these decisions, when those decisions lock in, they don't just become canon story, but you are also driving the final fates of these characters and pushing them in one direction or another with your decisions each time you participate in a fate decision. So great story, and an opportunity to, as an audience, shape that canon story, and including the fates of these characters when they finally have their reckonings.
Right, and this is like, as opposed to your favorite horror film, perhaps, you really have control on what's gonna happen to the characters. And
if you shout at the screen in the movie theater, it doesn't do anything. But if you participate in a Silent Hill Ascension decision, it does something.
Right, and I noticed that the audience has been, by the way, it's so great to see people voting. Oops, sorry, I dropped my phone. But it's so great to see people voting something other than redemption a little bit. Now we're seeing domination, people wanting Toby to attack the Foundation. So I like to see also, because I personally have been curious about the other options. Where is it going to take us?
Well, yeah, I mean, and the other thing is the tension between the fate you might like to see that character receive, and in the moment, the action you think is the right one to take. So, perhaps you want Toby to attack now, but there may be consequences for that later.
Right, like everything in life, impulsivity you might regret later. But this is all just, thank God it's not real life. You can enjoy playing with our characters. And so from the different cast members, tell us how similar or different they are.
I mean, the cast members have a singular similarity, which is that they have all found themselves suddenly in a situation that involves murder, dark secrets, and monsters. So that's definitely a similarity that they share. But each of them has a unique personality. Each of them has a unique thematic and perspective on what is happening around them. They have each have their own role in the dark past that has caused them to ultimately wind up in this situation, including the deaths at the beginning of the season. And so, yeah, I mean, they are not a bunch of cookie cutter clones of each other. Each one is a unique personality that's going to give you a different perspective into what exactly is going on in Silent Hill Ascension, and also a different feeling about love them, hate them, want to see them redeemed, suffering, or damned, and so on. So. Yeah.
Right. So speaking of about decisions, if production could show us the decision that's open today, because this is another thing everybody has in common. They are pawns in your hands. You can choose what happens to them. So the decision we have today is, how will Carl react to Astrid keeping Orson from him? So will he call her bluff, or demand an apology, or beg for forgiveness? She's basically taking away his grandson after he just lost his wife, and is it his fault that he's been biting kids? I don't know. So I would love to hear from Stefan. What do you think about this one?
So what do I think about this one at a personal level? I personally would be, as Astrid, a bit indignant. I mean, as Carl, sorry, be a bit indignant with Astrid for doing this. So I might demand an apology, but that's not a right answer just because I was involved in creating this. That's just a personal feeling. And it's also interesting to note that this decision is not a fate-driving decision, but that does not mean that there are not consequences for it later in the story.
Every single thing, there is a consequence, You keep that in mind, audience, whatever decision you make. And yeah, I'm kind of shocked by the whole family dynamic there. And that's something that also is a prominent theme in Silent Hill in general, but also specifically in Ascension. It's that family motif, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Family, the things that we do to each other as a family, for good or for bad, and in Silent Hill, for bad. But you, the audience, can push things in a redemptive direction should you choose to. Should that seem like the right thing to do? Maybe it's not for you. And also, the intergenerational trauma that we carry as families that sort of populates our dark pasts and can come back to haunt us even across multiple generations of the same family. So that is definitely a strong aspect of the Ascension storyline.
Yeah, it's so morbid, but I really can't wait to see where it goes, because there might be redemption, there might be more suffering, we don't know. But anyway, thank you so much, Stefan, for your time, for being with us here this evening. We learned a lot, we got really inspired, and it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.
Yes, well, we did ask Konami if we could make a Silent Hill comedy, but they said to make it morbid instead, so there you go.
There you go.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone who is watching, who's participating, who is out there being a part of the Silent Hill Ascension community. This is a community product, it's a community experience, and this is for you. So thank you for participating, and thanks for having me, Noah.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan. Bye. So, let's talk about puzzles, because I loved me some puzzles. So the audience can earn influence points by using the puzzles. You can affect the characters' hope. So the puzzles are available to play at any time in the Arcane Library. So at the top of the library screen, right there. Together. So production, could you please show us the puzzles? Because I want to walk the audience through the puzzles that we have. So we have 2 mindfulness puzzles that are available for free. You can always play them for free. We have the Arcane Library puzzles. There is one that's available for free, and they are changing every day. So, oh my God. So you're back. I'm so happy to see you. Welcome back.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be back. No, it's good stuff. Like, I'm glad to see that, we've changed the mindfulness puzzles are now available for free for everyone, so they can affect characters' hopes. It's part of the reactions to the community feedback. So I'm glad to see that in action. So from now, your 2 mindfulness puzzles are free. So you can at home always affect the story, even when we are not showing.
At any time. So let's take a moment, though, to discuss the story so far. Eduardo, please walk us through it.
Sure, of course. So our lovely production crew is going to throw that up on screen, our story so far. We're going to start with Pennsylvania. So in our story so far in Pennsylvania, the big moment, Joy died during a Foundation initiation ritual conducted by Rachel. As a result, Rachel is being questioned by the elders about Joy's death. As, questioning should probably happen here. That said, Toby, Joy's brother, finds out that she died, and unfortunately gets a revisit of Joy, seeing the dead sister in the woods, and asking, and that sister going, burn it all down. Pretty strong moment right there. All that said as well, Rachel sees monsters in her home, so she escapes with Eric and their daughter to the Foundation for refuge. That's quite a lot of action actually in Pennsylvania for sure here. That's a really strong start, right, Noah?
It is a very strong start, and let me tell you, I had days where I felt Toby-esque. Okay, but thank God I didn't see visions of, this is horrible what he's going through. What did he do wrong? He's not in the Foundation. He's just minding his own business, and all this stuff keeps falling on his head, all these catastrophes.
No, of course. And I mean, you have to, and then when you re-see your sister, she's been dead. You see a delusion of her, being dead, and you have to contend with her telling you to burn it down. And the funny fact is, I actually checked that decision. There's still a while to go, but the audience, for once, it's, a lot of you have picked the redemption path, and totally fair on you. At the end of the day, it's you, the audience at home, deciding. But on this decision, it seems the audience is really split between that redemption path or just getting Toby to burn it down.
Right. This one is an intense one. It's very fun to see, it's so fun because we just rolled out, and it's so great to see different types of, because I'm so curious to see, really, I kind of want to see each and every path. But unfortunately, there can only be one. Or fortunately, I don't know, because I could stay in Silent Hill forever, but I need to go feed my dog sometime. But Eduardo, also, we had a lot going on in Norway as well, right? We had a bunch of, there's a lot of family drama, both in Pennsylvania and in Norway. So can you please tell us more about the drama in Norway?
Of course, it'd be my great pleasure. So our lovely production team is also going to throw that on screen for you. Norway, week 1 so far. So in Norway, while things have also picked up, it's not quite as fast as Pennsylvania. We're taking a bit more time. There's a little bit more intrigue. We're not quite sure what's going on with the characters. But fundamentally, Astrid discovers her mother, Ingrid, died under the care of Carl, her father. So at the same time, she finds a suspicious syringe in the room where Ingrid died. A bit later on, she discovers herself that's morphine, something not prescribed. Now we have the detectives questioning Carl about the death of Ingrid. That's a few detectives. That was Hagen, as well as some of our audience members who are actually present in the scene, if you want to check that again in our catch-up videos a bit later. Now, we talked in that interview with Stefan. I was in the back. I was hearing a lot about kind of that family drama, the tension, generational trauma. So the thing here, Astrid learned that Orson bit another child at daycare and he gets suspended from school. So I believe the audience chose for our scene today to essentially go and lecture him. And you saw the result of that video just now. If you haven't and you're just jumping in, you can always, again, catch up. All that said, it's a lot of tension for this family, but essentially, long story short, the grandmother died, but in mysterious circumstances, they're trying to figure out things here.
Right. So basically, poor Astrid, she had a fight with her mom, and she goes back, she takes a breather. She's like, I want to solve this. She comes back. She's dead. Her mom's dead, okay? And Carl was seeing all kinds of weird stuff when it happened. When he came back to see Ingrid was dead, he was trapped in some otherworldly things, which were harrowing. So it's kind of hard to know, are these people facing their traumas because these monsters are inducing them, or are the traumas inducing the monsters?
That's a good way to put it. And, we saw actually, you're correct. A lot of, in our endurance scenes, Carl was very present. And actually, as an update, actually, to the community, I checked with the rest of the development team to be 100% sure. It turned out that yesterday you succeeded, actually. The community succeeded. So what we did to make sure that was followed is Carl's Hope actually went up to make sure it followed what you at home managed to do. Because you were successful, we wanted to make sure that was reflected. So Carl's Hope actually went up. Although Carl's situation not so good in general.
No, life is difficult there in Norway, especially for a goat farmer whose wife just died in suspicious circumstances. But also, Orson biting the kid. Eduardo, do you think, how bad was that bite? Oh, let's get back to that later. But because it's important to know what's going to happen with Orson biting the kid, for instance. So let's talk about our fate and hope system. Eduardo, can you talk about that?
Sure, of course. So one of the things you'll have noticed when Orson biting the kid is a lot of the decisions were not fate. They were essentially, well, how does the parent deal with the child here? But a lot of the decisions we have in Silent Hill decision are fate decisions. So this is where the decisions, the endurance scenes, those mindfulness puzzles that now you have all access to, determine whether the characters redeem, suffer, or damn. And that's really going to be how the season builds up. It's decided across the length of it. And remember that even if you are going down that redemption path, the character's hope does have to be high enough for them to survive some of those crucial story moments. And one of the things we're actually going to do here is we're going to go throwback to the very first decision we've asked you, even before the show kind of went live. For the first time, I'm going to ask our production team to throw up that first decision on screen. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to check what you as a community decided. So you had three options, right? It's what will Rachel tell Joy to do? And essentially your options were to finish the oath, which was the redemption, to run, which was suffering, or to plead for mercy, which was damnation. You as a community, half of you chose to finish the oath. So that was the scene that played out. The other two were available but wouldn't show because that's not what happened. And the interesting part for me here is the scores are pretty high. So you had 19.4 million total for that kind of winning choice. That was half of the influence points used. But the top choice was about 79,000. Now the thing is, that's about 0.4% of the total influence point decision pool. So fundamentally, it was really a lot of you that together decided collectively what would happen. And personally, I would have gone for run, but Joy wouldn't have survived. Now, it's just because, Noah, in a death cult situation, running away is probably the best advice one can be given.
Right. And this cult, although this cult is hella shady, I do want to admit that their theories are kind of accurate, it seems, their descriptions. But I also want to remind you, audience, that you can see previous decisions within the Silent Hill Ascension at any time in the decision section in the bottom of the screen. So you can always check in, and I kind of like to do it all the time to just because I'm curious what y'all gonna choose, and I'm also throwing some influence points there occasionally, but I don't know, personally. Yeah, so you make sure you catch up on previous decisions as well, because there's like an avalanche here of consequences. So make sure you're up to date on everything. And we want to take some time to help you have the best Silent Hill Ascension experience possible. Eduardo, can you explain more about that?
Sure, of course. So as we're in our first week with Silent Hill Ascensions, there were a couple, some things that happened that weren't quite what we were hoping for. So I'm going to talk about some of these now, and I'm going to let you know as well where you can find out more information about that. So if you watched yesterday, one of the scenes that now is on catch up is Someone to Watch Over Me. That actually aired. That was actually not the correct video that aired live, but the video in catch up is correct. And that's because, little dev secret, we actually want to make sure we're ready for whatever the audience decides, especially if it's a nail biter, because your decision gets chosen really, really late, like to the second within that video. So what happens is everything's ready to go, and as soon as we know what we want to what you've decided, that gets shown. So yesterday a little bit of a kerfuffle there, but if you go into the catch-up section, you will get that. Again, I'll remind you that yesterday the community succeeded. Great job to all of you on that endurance scene, but that wasn't quite what was reflected. So we want to tell you all, great job at home. We've made sure that Carl's Hope reflects your hard work and your great results. Don't worry about it. We're here to make sure that your Silent Hill Ascension experience is as good as possible. That said, we are updating the app constantly. So make sure you download from time to time, make sure you download the latest one. It gets you the best stability. And as we go through this first week and following weeks, we'll make sure to deliver that best experience to you. Now, that said, you might face issues. Let's be honest here. So we want to hear from you. You can always contact us by going into settings. So that's a little cog on the top right corner of the app. It should be very near my hands here. In there's the account tab, and then you can select contact in that little line with support, and then you can get directly to us. The development team will address the problem you have. We'll make sure the thing is improved, whatever that issue might be that you face. Now, all that said, if you on our social channels, I'm not going to talk a particular one, but if you have an account on a social media platform, you can probably find us. The truth is, we will update you on some of those more detailed issues as well from time to time. So thank you again for being with us that first week. Super awesome. I'm going to throw it back to Noah so she can explain where you can find us, not just the show, but, Noah, myself, and some bonus guests as well that you haven't seen yet.
Yeah, so okay, so we have our next show is gonna be on Monday. We have our pre-shows on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 5:40 Pacific. So make sure you catch those. The pre-shows are super fun pre-shows. Then we have the show every day, a new episode of Silent Hill Ascension at 6 p.m. Pacific every day. And then on Wednesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have our post shows after the main show. So stick around after the show because we might be interviewing your favorite person. You won't want to miss that. So yeah, thank you so much, Eduardo. It was such a pleasure to see you again. I really missed you when I was here all alone. No, actually, Stefan was great to have too, honestly, but I don't know, y'all have to duel it out. But anyway, thank you, audience. We love you. Thank you so much for participating in this little experiment of Silent Hill Ascension. We can't wait to see you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, Angel. I need to talk to you about something. You know how you've been staying home from school? That's because of what happened on your last day. Do you remember?
You ask a lot of questions, Mama. Like Zane.
Is that a friend in your class?
Imaginary friend.
Orson. Your teacher said you got into an argument and you bit another kid. Orson, look at me. You bit someone. That's not okay, ever. Do you understand me? When you hurt people, it hurts you in your heart. And it hurts my heart too. You don't want to hurt me, do you?
Astrid, I think that's enough.
I know that was hard to hear. But that ugliness, that's how your grandma behaved. I don't think we need any more angry, mean old ladies in the world. We need more good little boys. More Orsons. Okay?
Okay.
I can make us some tea. The water's still hot.
No, Papa.
You did a hard thing up there, talking things out with Orson. But I think you'll be a better person for it.
I don't want to hear your review of my parenting skills.
All right? Then what do you want to talk about?
The syringe. The one I found in Mama's room.
There's nothing more to say.
I ran a test on it, Papa. It was filled with morphine. Is that what you were giving Mama? Is that what killed her?
Why do you bring this up again? Why can't you let it go?
I already told you her death wasn't my fault. I did everything for your mother.
Because you were scared of her.
Father, you don't know anything. You don't know what it was like, what she could do, what...
Are you fucking serious? I know exactly what it was like. Every day in this house was torture. And you, Papa, you didn't do a goddamn thing about it.
Father. God,
Where are you going?
To get Orson. You're not fit to be around him.
Leave the boy, Astrid. You don't know what you're saying.
I thought all of this shit was finally gone with Mama. I was wrong.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
I've heard a lifetime of empty apologies. I don't need another.
Astrid, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Please. Make it stop.
I can lock up. See you back at the house? I could cook and...
We need to go back.
What?
Let's go, Faith. Grab your stuff.
Wait, Rach. Talk to me.
Mommy?
Faith, honey, can you go check on the machines over there? Go see if anyone left anything behind.
You trusted me enough to tell me what really happened to Joy, and you can trust me now. So tell me, what's going on? Hey, look at me. Rach, you can talk to me.
I can't.
Rach, come on. It's me. I'm not gonna tell anybody anything.
You're asking me to break my oath.
I just want to help.
I said no.
You're right. I'm sorry.